Shh, you'll be all right.
In a land carved by wind and fire, where love was forbidden and silence carried the weight of survival, one wounded gunslinger and one healer of the mesa dared to cross the line between two worlds. He came seeking peace, but found a heart that could never let him go.
The desert wind carried the scent of smoke and sorrow. Eli Turner rode alone beneath the scarlet cliffs, his left arm wrapped in bandages, his eyes shadowed by pain deeper than any wound. Once a proud rancher, now a ghost on horseback, he fled from the memory of the night flames consumed his home and his fiancée's betrayal. When his horse stumbled near Red Mesa, Eli fell hard, his breath knocked out as the world spun red. Through blurred sight, he saw movement, a figure cloaked in earth tones, quiet as twilight. A woman's voice, soft and melodic, spoke words he couldn't understand. Her touch was cool against his fevered skin. As darkness swallowed him, Eli thought he saw her eyes, dark, fierce, and sad. He tried to speak, to ask who she was, but her voice faded like wind in canyon stone. The last thing he heard was a whisper, something between a prayer and a warning. He didn't know then that the woman who saved him was forbidden to even look upon a white man. When Eli woke, the air smelled of sage and smoke. His wounds were dressed, his body laid upon woven blankets. The small cave flickered with firelight. Across from him sat the woman, silent, graceful, her raven hair braided with turquoise beads. Her name, he learned from her hesitant whisper, was Ayanna, daughter of the healer, keeper of old secrets. She watched him with guarded eyes, her hands trembling slightly each time she met his gaze. Outside, the cliffs glowed crimson beneath the setting sun, hiding their fragile world. Ayanna knew if her tribe discovered the stranger she sheltered, she would face exile, or worse. But something in his brokenness called to her spirit, something raw and familiar. When Eli tried to rise, pain racked his body. Ayanna placed her hand on his chest. "Rest," she murmured, her accent soft but certain. "The desert will not forgive those who rush her mercy." He met her eyes, and something unspoken passed between them, older than the wind, stronger than fear. Days passed in silence, broken only by desert songbirds and the whisper of wind through stone. Eli's strength returned, but so did his questions. Who was she? Why would she risk her life for a man like him? One night, when the moon painted silver trails across the canyon, Ayanna finally spoke of her past. Her brother had been killed by settlers who hungered for their land. Since then, she had sworn never to trust another white man. Yet she confessed softly, "Your eyes do not carry hatred, only hurt." Eli turned away, ashamed. "Maybe that's all that's left of me." Their words lingered in the quiet air, trembling with forbidden warmth. When her hand brushed his as she passed him water, his heart stuttered. For the first time in years, Eli felt something break open inside him. Not pain, not sorrow, but something he had forgotten how to name. Outside, a coyote howled, a warning and a promise. Beneath the Red Mesa, love had begun to stir where it should never have bloomed. The nights under Red Mesa grew colder, but Eli's thoughts burned hotter. The cave walls glowed with the orange breath of the fire, casting golden light on Ayanna's face. Her skin shimmered like polished copper, her lashes long shadows against her cheeks. He watched her grind herbs into a bowl. "You always work," he murmured, voice hoarse. She didn't look up. "Work keeps the heart steady." "And what keeps yours steady?" he asked. Her hands stilled. "Not you," she whispered, though her eyes said otherwise. Eli leaned closer, the air between them thick with unsaid longing. "You saved my life." "Why?" Her gaze flickered to the fire. "Because the spirits told me to. Because your eyes carried sorrow instead of hate." Silence stretched between them, heavy with temptation. The desert wind howled like a warning outside. Still, his hand brushed hers. Her pulse jumped. "Careful," she breathed, her lips trembling. "If my people find you, then let them," he said softly, his voice roughened with desire. "I've been running all my life. Maybe it's time I stopped." For the first time she smiled, and the firelight caught in her eyes like sunrise. Eli followed her to the canyon's edge at dawn. Mist curled around the cliffs, the air cool and sharp. Ayana walked ahead, her hair loose, her steps soundless. "You shouldn't be here," she said without turning. "The scouts will soon ride this way." "I can't leave you," he replied, his voice low but firm. She turned to face him, torn between fear and longing. "You know nothing of my people's laws." "Then teach me." Her lips parted in surprise. "You'd never survive our trials. You're not one of us." Eli stepped closer. "Maybe not. But the night you saved me, you became part of me." Her heart thudded painfully. He reached out, brushing her cheek with the gentlest touch. For a heartbeat, the world stilled, until a sudden cry echoed through the canyon. Ayana's eyes widened. "They found you." She pushed him toward the shadows. "Go, now." But Eli grabbed her wrist. "Not without you." Her breath caught. "If you stay, we both die." The hoofbeats grew louder, dust rising like storm clouds. And still, neither moved. That night, beneath a swollen blood moon, Eli hid among the boulders while voices echoed above the cliffs. The tribe searched, their torches blazing like stars fallen to earth. Ayana slipped to his side, her face pale in the firelight. "They believe I cast spells on the white man. They will banish me if I'm caught." Eli's jaw tightened. "Then I'll take you with me." She shook her head. "The desert would kill us both." He reached for her, pulling her close. "I've lived through fire. I can survive anything except losing you." Her breath trembled against his chest. "You speak as if love can conquer the spirits." "Maybe it can," he said softly. "Maybe it already has." Ayana looked up at him, eyes shimmering like moonlit water. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then she kissed him, soft, desperate, forbidden. It was a promise and a curse. When she drew back, tears glistened on her lashes. "If they find you tomorrow," she whispered, "they will kill you before sunrise." Eli touched her face tenderly. "Then tonight, let me live." The desert wind carried their secret into the endless dark. The dawn came cruel and red. Ayana's tribe swept through the canyon like a storm, their horses' hooves shaking the sand. Eli crouched behind a boulder, heart hammering as he watched Ayana ride ahead of them, her face hidden beneath a hood. When she dismounted, her father, the medicine chief, gripped her arm. "You've brought shame upon our blood," he thundered. "I brought healing," she said softly, refusing to look at Eli's hiding place. "By saving a stranger?" He spat the word like venom. "You've bound your soul to death." Eli's breath caught. He couldn't stay hidden while they accused her. He stepped from the shadows, hands raised. "If punishment's due, it's mine." Gasps rippled through the gathered men. Arrows lifted. Ayana cried out, stepping in front of him. "No!" Her father's eyes darkened. "Then you choose exile." She lifted her chin, tears glistening. "Then exile it is." As the wind howled through Red Mesa, Eli reached for her hand. For the first time, she didn't pull away. They rode under the dying sun, the desert stretching endless and silent. Ayana's braid fluttered against her back, her face streaked with tears she wouldn't let fall. "You shouldn't have done that," Eli said quietly. "You should have stayed hidden," she replied, her tone brittle.
"You almost lost your life, and I've lost my home."
He reached over, gently catching her hand. "Maybe we've both found something worth the loss." She turned to him then, eyes full of war, longing, and sorrow. "You don't understand what you've taken on. Love like ours is cursed by the land itself." He smiled faintly. "Then let the land curse me." Ayana's lips parted, but no words came. They rode until night draped the desert in blue velvet. At a lonely spring, Eli lit a small fire. When he caught her watching him, he whispered, "Tell me it wasn't worth it, and I'll leave." She closed her eyes, voice breaking. It was worth everything. And under the desert stars their lips met again, slow, trembling, infinite. Days passed. Hunger gnawed, the sun burned, yet they clung to each other like roots to rock. Eli's wounds reopened, but Ayana tended them with psalms older than memory. One night she traced the scar that slashed across his shoulder. "This pain, does it still haunt you?" He caught her hand. "Only when I forget you're near." She smiled faintly. "Scars are stories that refuse to fade." So are you, he murmured. But peace never lasted long in the desert. As they rested near an abandoned mine, a shadow emerged, a group of bounty hunters. One of them sneered. Turner, thought you burned with your ranch. Guess the desert's been kind to you. Eli rose slowly, placing himself before Ayanna. You're not taking her. The man laughed, cocking his rifle. I'm not here for her, cowboy, but she might fetch a price too. Before Eli could move, Ayanna's dagger flashed in the moonlight. The first man fell with a cry. The others scattered, startled by the ghostly calm in her eyes. When silence returned, Eli stared at her in awe. I told you, she said, breathless. Love like ours is not gentle. It fights. The bounty hunter's blood darkened the sand. The night was still again, but not their hearts. Eli sat by the dying fire, staring at his shaking hands. Ayanna crouched beside him, cleaning her blade in silence. You've seen death before, she said softly. He nodded, but never for me. She looked at him then, her gaze fierce and aching. I would do it again. He reached out, his thumb brushing her cheek. You shouldn't have to. Her lips trembled. You don't understand, Eli. The spirits of my ancestors walk with me. They saw your pain long before I did. Perhaps it was fate that brought you here. He wanted to believe her, to believe that something greater than sorrow had led him to her. But deep down he feared fate was only cruel. When dawn came, they climbed to a hidden ridge. Below, riders moved like ants across the valley. Your people, Eli whispered. No, she said, her voice tight. Yours. And then he saw it. The emblem of the marshal's men. They weren't just hunting him. They were after something he carried. From his satchel, Eli pulled a weathered envelope, the paper soft with sweat and dust. Ayanna frowned. What is that? A letter, he said bitterly. Proof that the man who burned my ranch was my own brother. Her eyes widened. Your brother? Eli nodded, his jaw hardening. He framed me for it, took my land and left me for dead. Those men down there, they're his hirelings. Ayanna reached for the letter, her fingers brushing his. Then you cannot go back. You will die for a crime you did not commit. I can't keep running, he said quietly. Not while he still owns everything I built. Ayanna's eyes filled with tears. And what of us? Eli hesitated, torn between vengeance and love. If I go back, I can clear my name. I can give you a life that isn't lived in shadows. She turned away, her voice trembling. The world you came from will never accept me. He stepped closer, cupping her face. Then I'll make a new one. She wanted to believe him, but in the desert, love was as fragile as hope. They rode for 3 days toward the town Eli once called home. Each mile carried the scent of memory, smoke, betrayal, and lost dreams. Ayanna rode close, her gaze wary of every ridge. They'll not welcome me, she murmured. They'll have to, he said. You're my wife. She stared at him, stunned. Eli. He smiled faintly. Not yet. But soon. The town rose from the dust like a ghost. Broken fences, weathered signs, and a saloon that stank of cheap whiskey. At the far end stood the Turner Ranch, his ranch, alive again under his brother's name. When they entered town, whispers followed them. That's him, the outlaw. And that woman, what is she? Ayanna's hand trembled on the reins. They look at me as if I am sin. Eli's voice was steady. Let them. I've lived with sin long enough to know it feels a lot like love. They reached the sheriff's office, and Eli dismounted. Stay here, he said. If anything happens, ride east. Ayanna caught his arm. Eli, don't let hate speak louder than your heart. He kissed her forehead. My heart has only ever spoken your name. Then he stepped inside, to face the ghosts waiting for him. The sheriff's office smelled of sweat and stale tobacco. Eli stood tall, the light from the doorway framing him like a ghost risen from the grave. Behind the desk sat a man with his same eyes, only colder. Didn't think you had the guts to crawl back, his brother drawled. Eli's jaw clenched. You burned my ranch. You let them think I died. Samuel smirked. You always were the dreamer, little brother. I did what had to be done. This land isn't kind to weak men. You call betrayal strength? Before Samuel could answer, the sheriff stepped forward. That's enough, Turner. The past's buried. Eli's voice broke like gravel. Then I'll dig it up. He slammed the letter onto the desk. Proof, signed by you. You paid those men to torch my home. For the first time, Samuel's grin faltered. You think they'll believe a half-dead drifter and his savage woman? Eli's hand twitched toward his holster, but Ayanna's voice from the doorway stopped him. Then let the spirits decide who speaks truth. Her eyes blazed like fire in dusk. The room went still, and for the first time Samuel looked afraid. Rain came hard that night. Rare, fierce, almost holy. Lightning danced across the plains as the truth spread through town like wildfire. Eli and Ayanna rode to the ranch, flames of vengeance burning hotter than the storm. Samuel's men scattered, unwilling to stand between the brothers. You can't take back what's mine. Samuel roared from the porch, rifle in hand. Eli dismounted slowly. It was never yours. Thunder cracked as Samuel fired. The bullet grazed Eli's shoulder, but before he could fire again, Ayanna's arrow struck true, splitting the night with a cry. Samuel fell to his knees, clutching the shaft in disbelief. She's one of them. Eli caught him before he hit the ground. She's the only one who ever knew mercy. Lightning flashed and the rain washed away the blood, leaving only silence and the scent of wet earth. Ayanna stepped beside him, trembling. It's done. He looked at her, love and sorrow in his eyes. No, it's only beginning. They stood beneath the storm, the past burning away like ash in the wind. Weeks later, the land began to heal. The red mesa shimmered in dawn's glow, no longer a place of hiding, but of promise. Eli rebuilt the ranch by hand, plank by plank, with Ayanna beside him. Her laughter returned slowly, like spring after drought. One evening, as the sun bled across the horizon, he led her to the ridge where they first met. I thought I'd lost everything, he said quietly. Then I found you. She smiled, tracing the scar along his jaw. You didn't find me, Eli. The spirits led us both here. He drew a small band of silver from his pocket, crudely shaped but shining in the fading light. Will you marry me? Ayanna's eyes glistened. Even if the world forbids it? He cupped her face. Let the world burn. We'll build our own. When their lips met, the wind swept through the canyon, soft, eternal, carrying their whispers into the red dusk. And beneath the mesa that once hid their pain, love bloomed again, wild and unbroken.
Beneath the ashes of war, love found its voice, and the desert kept their secret forever. Love written in blood and sand, never forgotten, never forgiven, forever bound beneath the red mesa. Please subscribe to my channel for more Timeless Whispers historical romance stories. Drop your comments below, like and share. Thanks for watching.